Hello, hello, and welcome to another Staggered Mayhem showcase already in progress. We have 64-bit Link and Kev Nastix, both of whom really enjoy running this category, which is a little bit of a meme category. If you're not familiar with it, this is the route that Nintendo Power published many, many years ago in the Nintendo Power magazine as a suggested route for beating this game really, really fast, at least quickly for what was considered fast at the time. We now know a whole lot more about the game, and the top runners beat this game a whole lot faster than this route. It's a really good introductory route if you have never played this game before. This is a category I would recommend starting with. There's only a couple of tricks that you have to know with wall jumps that make it a little challenging. But other than that, this is a very accessible category. Kevnastix and 64-bit Link are both very accomplished runners. Both of them have PBs in a lot of varying categories. And the difference in PB you see here is partly due to how much practice each runner has put in and how many runs each runner has done in this category. But I would wager to say that with the PB 64-bit Link I think 64-bit Link has an advantage because I've watched 64-bit Link on Double Ante Bingo and other events, and he is not slow. So Kevnastix has a lot of work to do in order to catch up to where 64-bit Link is. If 64-bit Link plays as well today as I hope he does, I fully expect a PB. Fingers crossed, and I hope there's no commentator's curse there. Looks like we've got a Spore Spawn fight on the screen. This is not a normal fight, as other people have pointed out before. The Spore Spawn fight is typically not one that you would fight this early on. This is the first mini boss of the game guarding second mini boss of the game, but the first one is guarding an item. With the Bomb Terizo, you get the item prior to fighting the mini boss. And we can just skip all that if we just go get supers through a different way. If you did all mini boss RTA, you'd come here with Plasma or some of the other categories where you fight Spore Spawn, you'd come here with a lot more items. So this is a pretty challenging fight, and Kevnastix has completed it, making it look really easy. 64-bit Link is already down in Norfair and already has the Varia suit, and we'll be picking up the speed booster momentarily, picking up these missiles that you normally would skip, but they are required in this route. The route requires that you pick up a number of items, and you have to pick them up in the exact order. And I noticed I didn't see whether 64-bit Link took a save, but I know a lot of runners in a race like this will opt to save prior to going to get the speed booster, so that they don't have to drop back down and do a save. And the reason for that is that the next item after speed booster is going to be the Norfair reserve tank, and it's really easy to pick up the missile pack in that room prior to the reserve tank, and that will end your run if you pick them up in the wrong order. So in chat, my wife says that my daughter is saying hi, so hello to my two kids. Daddy loves you two very, very much. So we see 64-bit Link picking up that speed booster that I mentioned, and that's going to allow 64-bit Link to go a whole lot faster than he would otherwise without those boots. So we're going to see Samus turn a different color. You see that blue with the echoes behind, and what 64-bit Link was trying to do there was to shoot the spazer at just the right time so that it would open the door and there wouldn't be any stopping right at the door. We call that bonking the door. And that slows you down just a little bit. And trying to do what's called a damage boost off of this waiver to get across to the room on the other side. That's not required to do it. It's a little bit faster to do the damage boost than the drop down and jump up. And the other way to do this, we might see Kevnastix attempt this, is to charge a spark in the speed hallway and then come down and spark across rather than doing the damage boost. I think Kevnastix's style is to do the damage boost, but he also has a knack for flare. So we will see what happens. And 64-bit Link did, in fact, pick up the items in the correct order. It's really, really tempting because there's a Nova there just circling, and you want to just shoot all the enemies. And if you shoot the enemy and then you land where the enemy was, then you've just picked up the items in the wrong order. It's really easy to make that mistake. But 64-bit Link is very practiced in this category and did not do the wrong thing. In fact, did the right thing. So normally you would not go through this little pipe here unless you're doing old route. 64-bit Link is an old route 80% runner. A lot of times you would come in there with power bombs and go the other way. It's a little bit slower to go through the pipe and have to go through bombs. A little bit, something that's you don't see in a lot of other categories. The next item that 64-bit Link is going to be picking up is the Ice Beam, and that's one of my favorite items. Chat's asking, how long does it normally take following this category? The world record is 1 hour and 2 minutes. My PB in this category is, I think, 1 hour 32 because I had a lot of silly mistakes. And these runners, you can see their PB on the screen. Kevnastic's 1 hour 12 and 64-bit Link 1 hour 22, and that's what we expect these runners to complete the game in. There or a little bit faster. So 64-bit Link has the Ice Beam, and as I like to say, this is not really an Ice Beam. This is really a space-time manipulation beam, because if you were to actually freeze something in midair, it's not going to just hang there in midair. It's going to fall to the ground. But when you freeze things with the Ice Beam, they do hang in midair as if time around that object has been temporarily stopped. And 64-bit Link is making good use of that Ice Beam, freezing those rippers, the ripper platforms, and trying to do that in order to get the quick mock ball through those columns out of the room. The other way to do that without power bombs is to do a bomb spread, which is a little bit slower. Kevnastics has the Varia suit and has defeated Craig. I didn't see whether Kevnastics got the Craig quick kill or not. Now is going to be picking up the Craig energy tank and then be heading down into Lower Norfair, and we're going to be missing the high five because 64-bit Link has missing that Alpha Spark. That's one of the most fun tricks of the game. But there will be one other opportunity for an Alpha Spark later on, so we'll see if 64-bit Link will get it next time. Heading up to go get the Alpha Power Bombs, and Kevnax will be heading down into Norfair, where 64-bit Link just came from. And I noticed 64-bit Link is opted not to freeze the Ripper at the bottom, but is freezing these Rippers. Normally, in any percent, you wouldn't have the Ice Beam coming through here, so that can be a little tricky when you do have the Ice Beam and the Wave Beam and the Spazer can get in the way of making shots that you are used to having a slightly different beam combo. Kevnask is about to be picking up the Cathedral Missile. I've always wondered why this room is called Cathedral. Normally you just skip right over this missile. You wouldn't even know that it's here unless you had read about it in Nintendo Power Magazine. Sort of hidden right there. And here's another little secret passage, laying the power bomb for the first time to grab those missiles in the same room as the Alpha Power Bombs. And that's one you would typically find if you're playing the game for the first time, because you're going to run into those tribbles that jump up at you and want to hug you. And easy way to get rid of those tribbles is to lay 3 power bombs. Well, you lay 3 power bombs right there, and it's going to blow open the wall, and you're just, oh, there's a secret passage there with an extra missile pack. 64-bit Link getting the damage boost off the spikes at the top for a little bit quicker trip through the room after stopping for a quick farm in the middle. falling straight down and missing those rippers. And we'll be heading back down to Norfair to fight Crocomire, if I remember correctly. Not quite making it across that bat room with the jump, having to make use of the down grab, or ledge grab. Wait, ledge grab. I get ledge grabs and down grab. I get those two mixed up. Kevnas is picking up the missiles in the speed hallway and about to pick up Speed Booster. That's another missile pack that you would often normally skip, even though it's right there, if you're doing any percentage. There's plenty of other missile packs that you have the opportunity to grab. We pick up a few extra missile packs, a lot more than we need, because the Zeb skip wasn't, I don't know if it was not known, but it wasn't expected that people would necessarily be able to do it, even if it was known. Back at the time that the Nintendo Power guide was published. Kevnas is going for the damage boost off of the waiver and not quite getting it, so having to do this backup strat to jump off of the wall. It's a little bit tricky of a jump, but it's not too bad. That's one of the jumps that I said, if you have never run Super Metroid before and you do want to try this category, that's one of the two jumps in the game that's a little bit tricky. The other one is getting into the spring ball room. And we see Crocomire, cute Crocomire, who's down here locked up, and Samus comes into Crocomire's house and then just starts shooting up the place and shooting him in his eyes, and that probably doesn't feel very good. I feel bad for poor Crocomire. He's just such a cute little dragon. Well, kind of big compared to Samus, but he's got nowhere to go except for backward, and he's got plenty of room to start with, but as we all know, this little platform is it's a little old platform, and he just falls right into the acid. And if you don't like gruesome, maybe you want to just cover your eyes right now, because we're about to see something a little bit gruesome and very sad. It's one of the sad stories in the game. The other, of course, being the baby Metroid. It's a little sad what happens to old Crocomire. We've got this ominous shaking and the rumbling sound. And here comes Crocomire now. And, well, it's just the bones of Crocomire because acid ate all of the skin. So, as I said, just a little bit gruesome and very sad. I wonder what species he is, whether he had any family. We'll never know. 64-bit Link is going to be heading down now to pick up the grapple beam. I like to call it the farm beam or the tractor beam, because you use it for farming, the same thing you'd use a tractor for. Kevnasik's picking up his time dilation beam. And 64-bit Link, first, before picking up the grapple beam, grabbing these jump missiles and using the Shine Spark to be able to do it. And there's two ways then to get across here to grapple. One is to run back and then just jump across. The other is you could keep going forward and then you have to do a bomb jump. Or if you miss the jump, you'd have to do a backup bomb jump. Here we go. Here's the grapple beam. And we'll be missing a high five again. 64-bit Link is going to be exiting Crocomire's area, going for the best mock ball of the game, not quite getting it, but did miss the ripper there in the sky, the one with the grapple hooks on it. And Kevnasik's heading up to get the alpha power bombs, and going for that alpha spark. Getting the alpha spark, it's a little trickier when you have the ice beam. And Kevnasik's now stopping at the Sloater's refill and heading up to get the alpha power bombs as 64-bit Link is grabbing the power bombs at Crocomire's area. This is the second and last power bomb pack of the game that the runners will be picking up. Not really needed. Not necessarily needed, but it's going to come in handy in lower Norfair to not have to worry about how many power bombs you have going down to Ridley, because you can't pick up the power bombs of shame in this category. If you do, it would be an invalid run. And here we have Kevnastics picking up the alpha power bombs, and 64-bit Link is going to be picking up the wave beam. Here's the wave gate. Normally you'd find that gate, you can't get through unless you go the other way. Kind of a hint that maybe there's an item coming up in the game that would let you do that. And 64 Link using the ice beam to jump on the Ripper and saying, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do the regular jump without the ice beam. And we'll see if, yeah, nope, 64-bit Link is killing the enemies in the room. The other way to do that is to do a damage boost in that room. And these platforms, by the way, it's really easy to go through that second platform there and fall down to the bottom. And I just realized I don't have the chat window up. So I've been missing your messages this whole time if you've been asking me questions. $64-bit Link going to get the jump through the room using the combination of the high jump boost and the speed booster. Not getting it, but fortunately there's a door there at the bottom that you can use as a backup. And Kevnastics looked like he was doing a stutter, kind of maybe habit from doing 100%, where you have to, where the easiest way to get that item, the missile pack on the other side of the room, is to charge a spark and shine spark across. Charging spark instead down in the hallway down toward Crocomire. Of course, it's not really much you can do with that, with a shine spark down here. And opting for the charge beam shots to knock Crocomire back into the acid, as 64-bit Link is exiting Norfair yet again. And this will be 64-bit Link's second opportunity to do the Alpha Spark, as he paused momentarily for that door to open and hint that he is going to go for it, and he's got the spark charge, jumped across, shot the enemy, and ended up bonking the door. So I don't know if that saves time or if it's a wash in the end when you bonk the door like that. I know it's a little bit faster if you happen to start the spark in the other room, but then you don't save any time in the bat room. And opting again not to freeze that Ripper, and is going to be heading over to pick up the X-ray beam. There's not really much of a point in picking up the X-ray. It's one of the quirks of this category. If you are reading the Nintendo Power Guide, you know where all the items are, so the X-ray beam doesn't really help you to find any of the items that you're trying to get. I'm not really sure why they had you pick it up, other than maybe just as a demonstration of the various items in the game, so you can have all 5 of your icons in your HUD at the top, your heads-up display. So now we have collected them all 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 missiles, super missiles, power bombs, grapple beam, and X-ray. So one of the questions in chat was whether there are how many main bosses there are, and the answer, of course, there are 4. There are four bosses, the Golden 4 plus Mother Brain. That's 5 bosses, plus the mini bosses: Bomb Terizo, Spore Spawn, Crocomire, and Golden Terizo, and Batoon. Those are the mini bosses. So five bosses, 5 mini bosses, including if we include the final boss as a boss. And we see 64-bit Link now in the room that we call Hellway, getting the damage boost once again off the spikes. And we'll be heading up to the next major boss of the game. We've already seen one, Kraid, and the next major boss of the game is Phantoon. Phantoon is an interesting character. Part ghost, part elephant. Nobody knows where he came from. He just fades in and then fades right back out. I'm not even sure if he's alive or if, nobody really knows what he is. So we like to call him the space elephant or the ghost elephant. And Kevnastix is leaving Crocomyre's lair now. 64-bit Link using the grapple beam to get across the moat and remembering to stop and pick up those missiles, very important. If you skip those missiles by accident, you either invalidate your run or you have to come back for them. And is using a stutter there to try and charge a spark, getting all the way across the ocean with one spark, costing a little bit of energy, which will make the Phantoon fight a little riskier, but 64-bit Link is a very accomplished runner and probably will not have any problems, fingers crossed. 149 energy should be plenty. And Kevnastix also opting to shoot the dragon and the whatever that other thing's called in single chamber, making his way quickly through double chamber, picking up the missile, and is going to be picking up his wave beam. 64-bit Link is turning off Ice Beam and turning off Spazer, and the reason for that is he's going to use the wave beam special beam combo. So he's going to be selecting power bombs, charging his wave beam, and that's going to shoot 4 beams in an X pattern, and they each do quite a bit of damage. It'll save quite a lot of time in this fight, and not quite getting it, having a little bit of trouble with selecting the power bombs. It can be a little tricky if you're used to only having the supers, missiles, and power bombs. If you've got 2 extra items, that can make selecting the items a little more challenging. Kevnastix doing a little jump through the door in the speed hallway, to making the jump all the way across. Some people have called that the greatest trick of the game. It is a cool little trick when you manage to get all the way across that save room in one little jump. Nice touch, nice little touch there. As I said, Kevnastix is a fan of doing things that just have a little bit of swag to them, and that's one of them. 64-bit Link, I saw a grapple beam there, ended up grappling Phantoon. I don't think that was intended. I think he intended to end that fight a little bit earlier and with a little bit more health. 12 health. I think we're going to get a health bomb here. Fortunately, we're picking up some supers. That'll bring his super count up to 8, so we should have plenty of ammo. And bombs the door here to avoid having to shoot the door, getting out of the room just a little bit faster, getting the mock ball there into the little one tile height tunnel to save a little bit of time. And using the power bomb here instead of shooting out the blocks with the wave beam is not sure it makes much of a difference in speed, but it's one of those quality of life maneuvers. Kevnastix having a little bit of trouble with the grapple beam in the room prior to the X-ray, and then having a little bit of trouble KOing the column there. Demonstrating, of course, for us that you can KO through almost anything in this game that moves. including those columns. 64-bit Link heading up from the basement through the main shaft into the attic and is going to demonstrate hopefully a quick way to get through the attic, laying a power bomb here to deal a bunch of damage to the key hunters and almost enough damage to kill the energy ball and bring it down to only requiring one missile, and then killing the rest of the key hunters and the energy balls very quickly, and then heading next to what we call bowling. And we call bowling because Samus turns into a ball and is going to sit in the hands of this statue who's going to go bowling with Samus. Is using a reserve to avoid a health bomb ever a strategy? That's a good question. I can't think of any time that I've ever seen that done, but it does make sense. It takes a little bit of time to go into the menu and pop the reserve, but it would avoid a health bomb if you were in need of the ammunition. So it makes sense, but I've never seen it. So we see 64-bit Link in the hands of the statue, and the statue is knocking down all of those spiky bowling pins. And this is something you'd probably never see if you go bowling, where you don't ever go through the floor. Hopefully you don't ever go through the floor. If you go through the floor in the bowling alley, I'd recommend finding another bowling alley, because it means that the bowling alley has structural problems. And in this case, it's just because it's a secret passageway. Now, if you go to a bowling alley that has a secret passageway, that sounds like a really cool bowling alley, and I would appreciate it if you would let me know where it is, because I'd love to see it. I really like secret passages and things like that. It sounds like a whole lot of fun. Kefnasik's making his way across the moat and is going to be doing the Phantoon fight as well very soon. And we have a high five at the moat. Kefnasik's going to the right, and 64-bit Link was heading to the left and is heading down now. 64-bit Link is heading down to I forget what comes next. Down to get the spring ball is what comes next. Spring ball is a new addition to the game. In the first game, we had the morph ball introduced for the first time, but there weren't really any upgrades to the morph ball. And in the second game, we had I believe the second game for the Game Boy had the spider ball. We don't have any spider ball here, but we do get the spring ball. And the spring ball allows Samus to jump while in morph ball form. Not really going to be a lot of opportunity to use the spring ball. Hopefully we'll get to see some spring ball strats. There are a few places where that could come in handy. Really the main reason for getting the spring ball in the first place, in my opinion, is we get to say hello to our friend Shaq Tool. 64-bit Link deciding he wants a little bit of extra energy, so also stopping by at the refill station here. Sliders has expressed that he's not sure he likes being associated with that refill station for the rest of his life, but as it is, we do call that the Sliders refill station. When he was an early runner, he liked to stop there early on because he thought it was faster, and it turns out it's actually faster to farm in Hellway most of the time, unless you need a decent amount of energy and you already have plenty of ammo. So here is the door to the spring ball, the green gate here. If you are playing the game for the first time, you might see this gate from the other side if you had come through Forgotten Highway and down the toilet. But since these runners know that Forgotten Highway is not the fastest way through, they come in from the west, and 64-bit Link noticed charged a spark there and tried to get through the next few rooms as quickly as possible to open the door, and the intent was to spark across this room. And you notice it's a whole lot slower having to jump and land on those narrow platforms than it would have been to spark across. Question in chat is this the intended route? This is very similar to what I think is the intended route. There are a couple of deviations from the intended route. One of them, as I was just mentioning, is I think the intended route is for you to come down through Forgotten Highway to the toilet to here. Another is I think Wave Beam is probably picked up at a little different place than is intended, and there are some other I think minor differences to what the intended route is. There are a few other items that are not picked up in this route that are probably intended for you to pick up your first time playing the game, but Nintendo Power was kind enough to point out that they're not actually needed. It can skip them. Yeah, there is some disagreement on when ice is intended to be picked up. I think ice is intended to be picked up pretty early on. Certainly makes getting through Red Tower a little bit easier, but you don't need ice, of course, to get through Red Tower. And here we have the Chozo statue holding the spring ball. It's a little energy ball inside of a spring is the icon. And we'll be seeing spring ball here. Jump, 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 and hopefully that's not the last time we see spring ball getting used. Some runners do like to kill Shacktool there. I like to see Shacktool survive. Cute little worker robot with a bear, what I think is a bear face. And Capnastic's picking up that gravity suit that will change the viscosity of whatever liquid Samus happens to be in, so that it no longer holds Samus back from making quick movements through the liquid. Doesn't actually seem to do anything to affect gravity unless you are in a liquid. So perhaps not the most aptly named item in the game. And 64-bit Link now going to be some runners will opt to exit Meridia here and then come back up, and it looks like 64-bit Link is going to be taking the slightly faster option of doing the green gate glitch and running out of super, so is going to have to go back down through that broken tunnel with the crabs and come back up the other side. So that's going to be a little bit of a time loss for 64-bit Link. It would have worked out in his favor if timing had been right on that on the green gate there, and then having to farm to get one super to get through this gate, and without any supers, and then not picking up the I can't remember. Do we pick up crab supers? We do pick up crab supers, don't we? Or is it Aqueduct? So there will be some supers in Samus's inventory for Botwoon. So hopefully that won't end up being an issue. Having to use 5 missiles on this door and then run back in order to charge the Shine Spark to get this energy tank, saving a little bit of energy, not that it matters much because your energy is going to be refilled by jumping up and then sparking rather than sparking from the ground. And then that's a cool little trick, using the charged wave beam and then running off the platform to get the missile pack there in the wall. And then exiting the Mama Turtle's room. She's one of the many mothers in this game. And she is invincible and she takes care of her kids. So don't mess with Mama Turtle's kid. She will attack. And here these are the crab supers. So this will be one of the first 2 super packs that 64-bit Link will be using to recharge Samus's super inventory, which will come in handy in the Botwoon fight. I believe 64-bit Link does do the X Factor on Botwoon, so that will so he won't need all 10 of those supers. They'll leave a few extras for the 2 doors, including the eye door into Dragon. So this is called the Aqueduct. I think named because of all the pipes going through here. They seem to be frozen. I don't think very much water is flowing through these pipes. And this is the other super pack I was referring to. Jumping across those crumble blocks. First time playing this game, you might not know that those are crumble blocks. You run across, trying to grab those supers, then you fall down and you have to do that spark all over again. And then jumping up, and we're going to see another quick short charge here in the Botwoon hallway. Is it to avoid having to run all the way back, and the building is opting to run all the way back anyway. And coming and doing the decalled setup for the X Factor by jumping up on the right to get those particles to show up in just the right position at just the right time, and making very quick work of Botwoon. Gymnastics leaving the pants room. I believe that's named for a runner who doesn't run Super Metroid anymore, and having to freeze these enemies to make his way back. We'll see if he gets the short charge out of here. Might just jumping across, and 64-bit Link not getting the halfie, but just jumping up the wall there. This is a little bit slower, but it's not going to be too bad. Getting a damage boost off of the spikes there, and the big damage boost is that last jump there, and getting that good damage boost there, and is forgetting to get precious missiles for a minute and remembering to go back and get precious missiles prior to going to Dragon. Kevnastic's now entering Meridia around the same time as 64-bit Link is starting the Dragon fight, and Chad is correcting me, saying it's called Pants Room because of the shape of the room. So I might be confusing it with a different room that is named for a runner. Or maybe somebody gave me a story that wasn't true. 64-bit Link opting to use the Shine Spark there on Dragon. No goops yet. Well, we have a goop now, but he's opting to shoot the goops and then just do any percent style kill on Dragon, rather than using the grapple beam. I saw a 64-bit Link do this in his run last night as well. So I don't know if he just prefers to do the speed kill, or isn't comfortable with the grapple because it's not something you would normally use in categories, or if it was hoping to get the suit there to be able to do the reverse halfie. All those would be valid reasons to opt for the traditional kill. Kevnastic's heading into Aqueduct as 64-bit Link is finishing up the Dragon fight, and going for that wobble jump, I guess, is a falling down, having to jump back up and space jump across to, and we'll be heading to go get the plasma beam next. The plasma beam is the last of the beams that Samus picks up. It is the beam that does do the most damage and will cut the fight with Ridley and with Mother Brain in half compared to just using the other 3 beams in combination with charge. So we see Kevnastic's also using the called setup for Batoon, and also not quite getting the 1 round on Batoon, getting a pretty quick 2 round. And 64-bit Link does not have ice turned on, so that makes the trip through this room a little trickier, but making its way through just fine. And lays powerbomb here in the plasma room. I believe that helps to do the damage, do a little bit of damage to the pirates that are hanging off of the wall. Is the reason I that might not be the right explanation. Making quick work of those plasma pirates. If you are considering a career in space piratry, plasma pirate, metal pirate, those are probably 2 job descriptions you should avoid, especially if they're on Zebes or any planet in the vicinity of Zebes. Very, very dangerous occupation. 64-bit Link buffering a charge shot through the door here, and then doing a jump to kill the Evir and do a very quick space jump through this room. That's going to save a little bit of time. Actually, quite a bit of time. If you don't make that jump through the room and you end up bonking your head on the protrusion coming off of the ceiling, you end up space jumping very, very slowly on your reverse path through that room. So very good that 64-bit Link did manage to pull that trick off exactly the way it's supposed to be done. It was absolutely textbook. Kevnastic's going for the grapple kill on Dragon on the right side. It's a little bit more difficult to get the quick grapple on the right side, in my opinion, versus the left. And showing us how to use the grapple beam to farm there to avoid having... And is collecting his space jump. 64-bit Link doing a very quick jump there through the Norfair farming room, and is buffering a charge shot through the door here to kill the flying fireball there, with the intent of doing a space jump all the way through that room. Ended up hitting the rock, and so wasn't able to space jump all the way through the room as quickly as possible, but still getting through the room very quickly. Getting hit by these fireballs I don't think was intended. Space jumping here through using the gravity suit, and is going... 64-bit Link is heading down now into Lower Norfair, and we will be seeing the last mini-boss of the game, Golden Chorizo. And here's another... If you run GT Classic, it's very easy to just get in the groove here and then go to the right by accident. But 64-bit Link is going to the right in order to charge not charge a spark, but get that blue suit to be able to space jump through these flames here without getting damaged. Otherwise, you get hit by the flames as you're space jumping through the room. And the reason you have to go left, and hello, acid statue. Sid. Ask Sid statue. Maybe if he had a name, it would be Sid. One of my favorite statues of the game. The reason 64-bit Link has to go to the left here is in order to pick up these missiles that we're going to see here. And what we're going to see is, coming into this next room, 64-bit Link is going to be using the spring ball. This is going to be one of the most important places to use the spring ball. And all you have to do is hold down the jump button and hold down right, and you can't fall. As soon as you hit the ground, before the crumble blocks can break, the spring ball will propel you into the air. Some runners will choose to space jump across, which I think is a little bit faster, but it's certainly a lot more dangerous. If you fall, you have to come all the way back around again. Actually, if you fall, I think in this category it would be run ending. If you haven't saved, because I think you have to get those missiles prior to defeating GT, although don't quote me on that. So next, getting these super missiles hidden in the ceiling. And then going to be picking up my favorite item in the game, the screw attack, which sends out these bolts of electricity as Samus spin jumps, dealing a lot of damage to anything in Samus's path, making Samus almost invincible, but not fully invincible. But it certainly feels like it when you're able to just base jump and screw attack through this room here. Those enemies will do an awful lot of damage to you otherwise. And then getting the quick charge to spark across the pillars room. The other way to do that, of course, is to use the screw attack, and it's slight difference in speed between the two. And jumping through the door there into the amphitheater so that he can space jump through the amphitheater rather than having to fall all the way down and escape the rising acid. Kevnastics is now going to be entering Lower Norfair, and so we now have both runners in the same area at the same time. And 64-bit Link has now entered what is called the Wasteland, using the charged beam there to kill the giant Disgigas, and then using the power bomb to break the blocks and come down to visit these metal pirates who've just been waiting with their security monitors. They've been watching Speedrunners Arena. They've been watching these runners on their Twitch streams, 64-bit Link and Kevnastics, and they have followed them. If the metal pirates have clicked the follow button, and you should too. Follow Kevnastics, follow 64-bit Link. WJG will tell you not to follow him, but I'm going to tell you you should anyway. Because WJG does a lot of awesome work to make these and other races happen. So we have a Golden Teresa fight and a Ridley fight on screen at the same time, which is a little bit of a treat. I'm not sure if we're going to have two Mother Brains on screen at the same time, so in lieu of that, this is a nice consolation prize, I think. Kevnastics picking up my favorite item in the game, the screw attack, and going to be demonstrating just how easy it is to get through this room with screw attack. 64-bit Link trying to finish off Ridley with those charge shots, charge plasma ice wave shots. A couple of those shots did seem to hit Ridley's tail, takes 20 shots and then Ridley picks you up and then falls to pieces. Couldn't take the heat, I guess. And picking up the is that energy tank in the, is that part of the run? I thought that energy tank was not in the list of items you're supposed to pick up. Maybe I'm confusing it with the fire fleas tank. Somebody in chat can tell me whether that was on the list or not. So 64-bit Link is now going to be exiting Norfair and trying to lay this power bomb at just the right, well, yeah, not opting to not do the optimal exit through Wasteland, instead opting for something a little bit easier, and it's going to be doing a short charge here to try and get the mock ball into the tunnel. Not quite getting it. If you miss it the first time, then if you go for it the second time, it's just a little bit swaggy. So we were seeing a little bit of an attempt at swag from 64-bit Link, making use of that spring ball once again to get through the tunnel there instead of having to lay a bomb. Again, that's one of the convenience features of this route versus one of the other any percent routes. And trying to avoid these fireballs, exiting the Fire Flea's energy tank room. Kevnastic's starting his Ridley fight, shooting those charge shots up at Ridley as he pogos. Doesn't seem like a very effective strategy against a bounty hunter to jump on your tail as if it were a pogo stick, but hey, I have heard from people who do use pogo sticks that they are a whole lot of fun, so maybe Ridley's just having fun. Just exploding with fun, apparently, today. 64-bit Link using the screw attack to get through those columns there instead of having to lay a power bomb. Chat telling me that the Ridley E-Tank is in the route and the Fire Fleas is not. Okay, so I was confusing my energy tanks for a moment. I don't have the list in front of me. I forgot to pull that up before the race started. And 64-bit Link now going for that little trick there, not getting the jump across the save room, but it's not that much slower to do the jump, and is exiting Norfair and saying goodbye to Norfair, and is going to be heading up to the Golden Four statues. Kevnastic's right on his tail, or trying to get right on his tail, but not quite on his tail yet, but is attempting to exit lower Norfair. And if all goes well, I don't believe that Kevnastic's can catch up at this point. I'm not going to say the various types of things that could go wrong for 64-bit Link, but I believe it's going to be nearly impossible for Kevnastic to catch up. So what we're going to cross our fingers for and hope for is that Kevnastic can catch up enough so that we have two Mother Brain fights on screen at the same time. That's sort of the goal behind the Staggered Mayhem showcase, is to get as many Mother Brain fights on screen at the same time. The runners, of course, are staggered in their start times according to how quickly they've beaten the game in this category in the past. So if past performance is an indicator of future performance, then if the calculations have been done correctly, then you should end up with a fairly large number of Mother Brains on screen at the same time. Although with 2 runners, it's a lot harder to guarantee that. So chat saying about 2.5 minutes apart. I have not been keeping track of the difference. That's close enough that things could end up working out. And here are the golden 4, the 4 golden statues. Each statue turns dark when you beat the corresponding boss in the game. And all 4 of the bosses have been defeated, so we are going to see all 4 statues turn gray, and then it's going to crumble into the ground, and then we're going to hear, not long after that, the ominous music of Turian, Mother Brain's hideout. This is one of the few cutscenes in the game. We saw another one at bowling and a few of the others, and there will be one more with the baby, and that'll be it. Kevnasik's getting through the fish room and getting through Red Tower, and is now heading up into Crateria, and will also be getting to the Golden 4 room momentarily. We will see at that point exactly how far apart the runners are. Chat is keeping good track of that for me. $64-bit link. Not opting for the optimal strats through these Metroid rooms, so that'll be a little bit of an opportunity for catch up. I can't remember if Kevnasik's normally uses a grouping strat or just shoot him and kill him as fast as you can. We will see. And there's Dusty, the Dust Chorizo. It's been turned to dust by having all of its energy sucked out of it by a very, very hungry baby. And we're about to see a demonstration of how the baby eats by grabbing on with these. It looks sort of like tentacles, not really sure what they are, and causing that hopper to turn to dust. And 64-bit Link is going to try to avoid having the same thing happen to Samus, not quite escaping the baby's grasp. The baby is sucking Samus's energy. Very, very hungry baby, but leaving Samus with a reserve tank and 1 piece of energy. That's going to not allow a Crystal Flash. There's going to be too much energy for a Crystal Flash, so 64-bit Link is going to have to head into the energy recharge station in order to refill energy after the baby hug. I did not catch Kevnasik's entry time into Turian. Not sure if chat did. So it looks like if Kevnasik can get the baby skip, we might see 2 Mother Brains on screen at the same time. Otherwise, it's going to be really close. 64-bit Link is going for the Zeptite skip here, and I can't remember if he turned off Screw Attack or not. Apparently not, so had to use the down back there in order to do the Zeb skip. Doing it very nicely, and breaking the glass on Mother Brain to open up the option of shooting supers. You can shoot supers at the glass too, but it's a waste of ammunition. And now, Mother Brain has been defeated. She's just crumbling to the ground. But then she rises again. Kevnasik's posting a word in chat, which seems to indicate that perhaps he had yep. And there we go, getting hugged by the baby. So that's 2 baby hugs. So it's going to be really tight. I don't know if Kevnasik is quite going to be able to make up the time there to get to Mother Brain before 64-bit Link finishes. We do have. It looks like 64-bit Link is going for the stand-up glitch. So it was space jumping. You have to stay in the air at exactly the right time. You have to be in the air at the right time, and you have to have the right amount of energy. And this is a little bit risky. So if you don't move correctly, you can end up in a position once the baby attaches to you that Mother Brain cannot kill the baby. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully everything's going to work out perfectly, and 64-bit Link is going to move back at just the right time, so that there won't be any soft lock here, because there wasn't a save anywhere. So here we go. We do actually have 2 Mother Brains on screen at the same time. This is what we've been going for, what we've been keeping our fingers crossed for. And looks like the baby is in position to avoid the soft lock. And there we go. There's the sad death of the baby. And Samus is going to be picking up the hyper beam. Not going to be very many shots, since so many of the shots were already made with the plasma combo. And here we go. The self-destruct sequence is going to be activated, and it's going to be time to escape. I don't know if 64-bit Link is going to say goodbye to the animals. They do have their own ship. They do have magical powers. So I like to think that even if you don't say goodbye to them, that they're going to be okay. But I think it's polite to say goodbye when somebody has been helpful enough to teach you how to shine spark and teach you how to wall jump. So, got a little bit of lag here in escape room 3, which is mitigated by killing the pirates. And then missing those pirates there, and missing the spark, and is having to charge a spark using a short charge to get back up through the climb room while the acid is eating away at Samus's health, but managing to pull it off, and now heading up through Parlor for the last time while Kevnasik is working on defeating Mother Brain using the stand-up glitch. And 64-bit Link is saying, nope, I want to get to the ship and get off this planet as fast as possible. I've had enough of this. The animals, they're on their own. And we have a dead Mother Brain as 64-bit Link is getting on the ship, and 64-bit Link has waiting for the official time in chat. I don't have the race stream up, but it looks like 64-bit Link is the winner, and yeah, I'm okay with interviews. Hopefully we'll be able to hear when the runners join the chat. And Kevnasik is heading out through escape as well. We'll see if Capnastic says goodbye to the animals. And we have 64-Bit Link here in chat with us. How are you doing, 64-Bit Link?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, that run, despite the horrid Fantoon fight, wound up being a minute and a half PB.
Well, you did manage to PB. Had trouble last night, but got looks like a minute and a half off of your PP today. So GG for that. You finished with an official race time of exactly what it shows in your timer, an hour 20:46, and Kevnasics has just finished in second place with an hour 22:14. So GG to both you and Kevnasics.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How are you feeling, Kevnasics?
I got to be honest. I'm very, very sick today.
Sorry to hear that.
Decided to race today because 64-Bit Link always votes for Nintendo Power Percent and nobody picks it. So since we were racing it, I'm like, no, I'm going to race this today. But I didn't have the endurance to keep up today. I actually thought my early game was like pretty outstanding. I was on a huge pace. And I only ended up about 45 seconds away from my PB anyways, but I really, between X-Ray and the first half of Meridia, I just kind of fell off the rails, and then missing that baby skip. It's like, all right, well, but it was still a good time. I had about 7 gold splits, so I feel like I ran pretty well, and thank you, 64-Bit Link, for racing today. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah. Yep, it was a fun race. Nice to get an excuse to run this category.
Right.
It is a very fun category.
I had the best spore spawn I've ever had. I had a 3-round spore spawn.
3 rounds, that's pretty impressive.
Might have been a 4-round. I actually think it was 4. No, I think it was a 4-round, but I got the stun lock where you get a couple missiles in and then freeze spore spawn in the second round. So, but I was almost a minute and a half ahead of my averages after spore spawn. I'm like, oh, this is sick today. All right, nice. And thank you, Cal, for being able to do commentary, and WJG for restreaming, and thanks everybody for watching. I'm actually usually I talk a bit more, but I'm gonna get going. I got a headache. I'm dying here. But 64-Bit Link, thank you so much for racing, and I hope I get to race with you at some point in the future, whether it's a tournament or a category, etc. And glad you made it today.
Yep, GG. Thanks for the race.
Thanks. All right, everybody. I got to run. Take care.
Yeah, GG Kev, and I hope you feel better.
Thank you. See y'all later.
Well, Link, do you have any other words, any comments, any other thoughts about your run? I know you were frustrated with some parts, but there were other stuff that you ended up nailing. So I think anytime you PB, it's something to be proud of.
Yeah, I think it's like my early game was kind of meh, but then I think like it got as the run went on, I feel like I got better, and yeah.
And you got a lot of the stuff that you missed in practice last night.
Yeah. I was really happy with the Batoon fight. That went pretty well. Because I got the 1 round on that, and just trying to think, GT went significantly better than it went for me last night.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think bosses, other than Fantoon, bosses went pretty well.
Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat there at Fantoon. That was a little scary right at the end.
Yeah, that wasn't supposed to be that scary, but I kept mismenuing my power bomb, so I was, and it's hard to recover when when you're expecting to be able to do the X Factor, and then suddenly you realize that you're either not on power bombs or whatever.
Do you normally use the item select rather than the item cancel?
I try to use item cancel as much as I can, but I know I think what happened was in that fight, because my muscle memory from any percent is I could just hit item select again to get off of my last item, and in that case it just put me on grapple.
Right. And that's one of the tricky things about this category.
Yeah, having all 5 items, or all 5 of the HUD items.
Especially that X-ray. It's easy to hit X-ray while you're running, and then you end up just stopping, which you did not do, fortunately.
Yeah, I managed to not do that, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with this, given that overall with this game I'm pretty rusty, so getting a PB, managing to nail at least some of the boss fights, despite being a year out of practice, felt good.
Well, you're one of the runners that I remember watching a few years ago in the DAB tournament and being very impressed. And I used to pull for you whenever you were running, so it was a treat to be able to get to do comms for you. Very much an honor.
Yeah, I hope that maybe this year I can get kind of back into Super Metroid and try to maybe improve some of my PBs that are in other categories that I just haven't run in a long time.
Well, we'd love to see you in the SMS. And again, whether it's Nintendo Power Percent or GT Classic or any of the other categories that we run on the SMS. Always good to have more runners.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be cool to get this back to what it was a couple of years ago, where there were 12 runners on stream at once, and they put at the end they put the audio on for all 12 runners at once.
I remember the first time I saw one of Metadog's Dog Pound Classic streams, and it was definitely mayhem. So yeah, I would love to see that many on screen again at once.
Yep.
Chat saying that everyone's audio at the same time was a one-time thing. Probably not something that they would repeat, but having that many mother brains on screen at once, definitely something we would go for.
Yeah.
Any final comments before we... I think we're going to raid someone. I'm not sure who.
Thanks for the commentary, and thanks to Speedrunners Arena for putting this event on.
And thank you for showing up and racing on a Sunday morning. Remember to follow the runners, follow Kevnasics, follow 64-Bit Link, and thank you all for showing up and watching and participating in chat, and we will see you next mission.